Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. We are so excited to have you here today, whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been following us for a while. It's a pleasure to be with you, helping you learn English in a fun and engaging way. My name is Agnes, and I'll be here with you throughout today's episode, guiding you through the topic and helping you improve your English skills.
Hey, everyone, I'm Jasper, and I'm also thrilled to be here today. We've got something really interesting to talk about, something that will help so many of you. It's all about a very important part of life, job interviews. Yes, we're diving into the world of job interviews, the good, the tricky, and everything in between. I'm sure you all know that getting ready for a job interview can be a bit stressful, but don't worry, we're here to make it easier and fun.
Exactly. Today, we're going to talk all about job interviews, how to prepare, what to expect, and most importantly, how to do your best in one. For many of us, job interviews can be a bit scary or overwhelming, but guess what? With the right mindset and preparation, you can turn that nervous energy into confidence. This is especially important for all of you learning English because job interviews often require us to speak clearly and confidently in a second language.
Absolutely. So, why is today's topic so important, Agnes? Well, job interviews are a huge part of our careers. They help you show what you're good at and why you're the best person for the job. But before you can get to that point, you need to be prepared. And that's where we come in today. We'll help you get ready for those important moments when you'll have to talk about your skills, your experience, and even answer those tricky questions that interviewers love to ask. It's not just about your qualifications, it's about how well you communicate them.
Yes, and let me tell you, learning the right vocabulary and expressions for job interviews in English is key. It's not just about saying, "I want this job." It's about showing your potential employer that you are confident, ready, and capable. For example, when the interviewer asks, "Tell me about yourself," you don't want to just give a basic answer. You want to impress them, right? So, knowing how to answer that question can make a big difference.
Right, and even if you're still learning English, that's okay. The important thing is to practice, and this podcast is here to help you do just that. We'll focus on simple words, easy phrases, and we'll break down everything step by step. By the end of this episode, you'll feel much more comfortable talking about yourself, answering questions, and understanding what's happening during an interview. Remember, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be prepared.
And we want to thank all of you who are listening today. Whether you're at home, on your way to work, or just relaxing, we appreciate you choosing to spend some time with us. We hope that this podcast will be helpful for your English journey and, more importantly, for your future job opportunities. Keep practicing, and don't forget to keep learning. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals.
Definitely, so let's get started. We're going to dive into the first part of our conversation today, how to prepare for a job interview. This is the first step getting ready for success. You might be wondering, how do I prepare for an interview in English? What should I say? What should I wear? Well, don't worry. We'll go over all of that today.
Exactly. Preparation is key. First things first, do your research. It's so important to learn about the company you're applying to. What do they do? What are their values? This will show the interviewer that you're genuinely interested in the job. You can use simple phrases to explain what you know about the company. For example, you can say, "I admire your company's focus on customer service," or "I read about your recent project, and I think it's really exciting."
Right, Agnes. And don't forget to practice your answers to common interview questions. For example, why do you want to work here? Or tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. These are questions you can expect, and having a good answer prepared will help you feel more confident. Even though it might seem simple, answering these questions well can make you stand out from the other candidates.
That's so true, Jasper. And let's not forget about the importance of body language during an interview. It's not just about what you say, but also how you say it. When you're sitting down for an interview, try to sit up straight, smile, and make eye contact. This shows that you are confident and engaged in the conversation. A simple smile can make a big difference in how the interviewer feels about you.
Definitely. And remember, English doesn't have to be perfect. Just be clear, be yourself, and focus on being positive. If you don't understand a question, it's okay to ask the interviewer to repeat or explain it. You could say, "Sorry, could you please explain that again?" It's always better to ask than to guess and get it wrong.
Exactly. And don't forget, preparation doesn't only mean thinking about what you're going to say. It also means being ready for the practical side of the interview, like where it will be, when it will be, and what you should wear. Make sure you arrive on time and dress professionally. It doesn't matter if it's a casual job or a formal one. Looking neat and presentable shows that you take the opportunities seriously.
And when you get to the interview, be polite and friendly. It's okay to feel a little nervous, but the more you practice, the less nervous you'll feel. You're there because they think you might be the right person for the job, and you just need to show them that you are. Remember, confidence is key.
Exactly, Jasper. So, I hope these tips help you start thinking about how to prepare for your next interview. We're going to talk more about common questions and how to answer them in just a moment, but for now, remember this: preparation is everything. Take your time to learn about the company, practice your answers, and get comfortable with how you'll present yourself.
Well said, Agnes. All of you are going to do great, and just remember that every interview is a chance to learn and grow. Thank you again to everyone who's listening today. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we're excited to continue sharing these tips with you, so stay tuned and keep practicing.
Thank you, Jasper, for those great insights. Yes, preparation is everything, and I completely agree that each interview is an opportunity to learn and improve. So, as we continue our discussion, let's dive into one of the most important parts of an interview: answering the common questions. You know, there are a few questions that almost every interviewer asks, no matter what kind of job you're applying for. And guess what? These questions are a great chance for you to show off your skills, experiences, and your personality. It's like a test, but in a good way. So, what are these common questions, and how can we answer them in a way that stands out? Well, let's start with a very popular one. Tell me about yourself. This is usually the first question you'll hear when you sit down for an interview. It sounds simple, but sometimes it can be tricky to answer. You don't want to talk too much about your personal life, but you also don't want to sound too formal or robotic. You need to strike the right balance. Here's a good way to think about it. Start by talking a little bit about your background, but keep it professional. You could say something like, "I'm a recent graduate with a degree in business administration."
Exactly, Agnes. That's a great way to introduce yourself without going into too much personal detail. And speaking of personal details, it's also important to avoid saying things that aren't relevant to the job. For example, you don't need to talk about your hobbies unless they are somehow connected to the job you're applying for. If you're applying for a graphic design position, you could mention your interest in design and how it connects with your passion for creating things. But if you're applying for a finance job, focus more on your experience with numbers and problem solving.
Right, Jasper? It's all about relevance. Now, let's move on to another common question that many of you may have heard before. Why do you want to work here? It can sometimes feel a little awkward, right? But this is another great opportunity for you to show how much you've researched the company. It's your chance to explain why you're genuinely interested in the job. For example, let's say you're applying to a company that has a great reputation for its commitment to sustainability. You could answer like this: "I've been following your company for a while, and I really admire your efforts to reduce waste and improve sustainability in your products." I believe in environmental responsibility, and I would love to be part of a team that's making a positive impact. See how that works. It shows that you've done your homework, and it also gives the interviewer a glimpse into your values.
Exactly. And the beauty of answering this question well is that it shows the employer that you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for the right job at the right company. When you can connect your skills and interests with what the company stands for, it makes you stand out as someone who's serious and thoughtful about their career. Now, let's talk about another very common question you might face. What are your strengths and weaknesses? This is a tricky one because it's hard to talk about weaknesses without sounding like you're not qualified for the job. But don't worry, the key here is to be honest, but also strategic. For example, when talking about strengths, focus on qualities that are relevant to the job. For instance, you could say, one of my strengths is my ability to stay organized and manage multiple tasks at once. I've developed strong time management skills, especially during my internship, where I had to balance several projects with tight deadlines. This shows that you're reliable and organized, qualities that many employers value. When it comes to weaknesses, try to talk about something that's not too critical for the job but that still shows you're aware of your areas for improvement. For example, you could say, one area I've been working on is my public speaking skills. While I'm comfortable in one-on-one conversations, I sometimes get nervous in larger groups. However, I've been taking steps to improve this by practicing in front of smaller groups and seeking feedback from colleagues. This way, you're showing that you're aware of your weakness but also taking action to improve it.
Such a great point, Jasper. Answering the strengths and weaknesses question is all about balance. You want to highlight what you're good at, but you also want to show that you're self-aware and open to growth. Employers appreciate candidates who are honest about their weaknesses, but are also proactive about improving them. It shows that you're motivated and ready to learn. Now, let's talk about one more important question that can sometimes be a little uncomfortable. Why did you leave your last job? Whether you were let go or you decided to leave for personal reasons, this question can sometimes feel like a challenge. But like the others, it's an opportunity to show your professionalism and maturity. Here's how you can handle this question: stay positive and focus on the future. If you left because you were looking for new challenges, you could say something like, I really enjoyed my time at my last job, but I felt that I had reached a point where I wasn't learning as much as I wanted to. I'm looking for a position where I can grow professionally and contribute more to the team, which is why I'm so excited about this opportunity. This response stays positive and shows that you're looking ahead, not back.
That's a perfect answer, Agnes. Keeping things positive and focusing on the future is key. And it's important to avoid talking badly about your previous employer, even if you had a tough experience. Negative comments can leave a bad impression, and that's the last thing you want in an interview. So, now that we've covered some of the most common questions, let's talk about something else that's really important during an interview: asking questions. At the end of most interviews, the interviewer will give you the chance to ask any questions you have. It's really important to have a few questions ready because it shows you're engaged and interested in the role. You could ask things like, can you tell me more about the day-to-day responsibilities of this job? Or what does success look like in this position? This gives you more insight into the job and shows the interviewer that you're thinking about how you can succeed in the role.
That's a great tip, Jasper. Having questions prepared shows that you're serious about the job. It's not just about answering questions, but also making sure that the job is the right fit for you. And when you ask thoughtful questions, it leaves a positive impression on the interviewer because it shows you're taking the interview seriously and thinking ahead.
Exactly. So, to sum up what we've talked about so far, preparation is key, and answering common interview questions with confidence is essential. Don't be afraid to show your strengths, acknowledge your weaknesses, and always keep a positive attitude. And remember, the interview is a two-way conversation. It's not just about them learning about you. It's also about you learning about the company and the role.
Thank you, Jasper, for that great summary. Yes, Asking questions at the end of the interview is such an important part of the process. It shows the employer that you're thinking critically about whether the position is the right fit for you, and it gives you the opportunity to learn more about the role and company. Now, let's move on to another very important part of the interview process: how to deal with nerves and anxiety during the interview. We all know that job interviews can make anyone nervous, especially if you're still learning English. It's totally normal to feel anxious, but here's the thing: those nerves don't have to work against you. They can actually work for you if you know how to manage them. First, it's important to realize that nervousness is something everyone experiences. Even experienced professionals get nervous before an interview. So, the next time you feel nervous, remind yourself that it's not a bad thing. It means you care. But it's also important to find ways to keep those nerves from overwhelming you.
That's a great point, Agnes. It's important to remember that nerves are natural, and it's okay to feel them, but the key is to manage them. One of the best ways to reduce anxiety before and during the interview is through deep breathing. Taking slow, deep breaths can help calm your body and mind. Try to take a few deep breaths before you walk into the room and even while you're waiting for the interview to begin. It can make a huge difference.
Yes, deep breathing is incredibly helpful. Another technique that works well is visualization. Take a few minutes before the interview to close your eyes and imagine yourself doing well. Picture yourself answering the questions confidently, smiling, and feeling relaxed. Imagine the interview going smoothly and visualize the interviewer nodding and smiling at you. This mental rehearsal can have a powerful impact on your real performance. When you can picture success, you're more likely to achieve it.
I love that tip, Agnes. Visualization can make a huge difference in how you approach the interview. But another key part of managing nerves is preparation. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. And this isn't just about practicing your answers. It's about practicing everything: the way you walk into the room, how you introduce yourself, and how you respond to questions. The more you rehearse, the more comfortable you'll feel, and that's going to help reduce your anxiety. Instead, focus on the big picture: how you can bring value to the company and how excited you are about the opportunity.
Exactly. A positive mindset is so powerful. If you make a small mistake, don't let it throw you off. Just keep going, stay calm, and focus on answering the next question as clearly as you can. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing that you're capable, confident, and motivated. Employers appreciate honesty and enthusiasm much more than perfection. And speaking of staying calm and focused, let's talk a little bit more about what to do when you don't know the answer to a question. Sometimes, you might get a question that you didn't expect, or maybe you don't know the answer right away. This can be especially challenging if you're still learning English. But the key here is not to panic. Here are a few things you can do. First, it's okay to take a moment to think. You don't have to answer immediately. You can say something like, "That's a great question. Let me think about that for a moment." Taking a moment to gather your thoughts shows that you're thoughtful and careful with your answers. It's much better than rushing to give an answer that doesn't make sense.
That's such a good point, Agnes. And when you do give your answer, don't be afraid to be honest if you don't know something. You can say something like, "I'm not familiar with that specific task, but I'm eager to learn and would be happy to take on training to improve in that area." This shows that you're proactive, willing to learn, and open to growth. And trust me, employers value that mindset. Another strategy you can use when you don't know the answer is to ask for clarification. If you don't understand the question fully, it's perfectly fine to ask the interviewer to explain or rephrase it. A simple "could you please clarify that?" or "I'm not sure I understand fully, could you give an example?" is a great way to make sure you're answering the right question.
Yes, asking for clarification is a smart move, especially when you're learning English. It shows that you're careful and want to make sure you understand before you answer. And don't worry, interviewers expect questions, and they would rather you ask for clarification than give an answer that doesn't make sense. Now, let's talk a little bit about body language during the interview. We've mentioned it briefly earlier, but it's worth going into more detail. Body language is incredibly important because it communicates so much about you, even before you say a word. Good body language can help you appear confident, engaged, and professional. Bad body language, on the other hand, can make you seem disinterested, nervous, or even unprepared. A few tips for great body language include: posture, sit up straight, but don't be too stiff. You want to appear open and relaxed. Eye contact. Maintain eye contact when speaking and listening, but don't stare. It shows that you're paying attention and engaged in the conversation. Smile. A genuine smile can go a long way in making both you and the interviewer feel comfortable. It shows that you're friendly and confident. Hand movements. Use natural hand gestures when speaking to emphasize your points. Just be careful not to overdo it. Too much movement can be distracting.
I completely agree. Agnes, body language can say a lot about your level of confidence. And speaking of confidence, let's talk a little bit about how to end the interview. A strong ending is just as important as a strong start. When the interview is coming to an end, make sure you express your interest in the position. You can say something like, "I really enjoyed learning more about the company and the role, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to contribute." This helps leave a positive impression and shows that you're serious about the job. You should also thank the interviewer for their time. A simple, "Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate your time today," will go a long way. And don't forget to follow up with a thank you email after the interview. It's a small but powerful way to show appreciation and remind the interviewer why you're the right fit for the job.
Exactly, Jasper. Ending the interview on a positive note is so important. And following up with a thank you note is a wonderful way to leave a lasting impression. It shows your professionalism and attention to detail. Plus, it's a great opportunity to remind the interviewer of your enthusiasm for the position. So, to wrap up this part of our discussion, remember that job interviews are a two-way street. You're not just there to answer questions, you're there to show that you're the right person for the job. By preparing, practicing, and staying calm, you'll be able to approach any interview with confidence. And if you make a mistake or feel nervous, that's okay. Just keep going and focus on your strengths.
That's right, Agnes. With the right preparation, mindset, and attitude, you'll do great in your next job interview. And always remember that each interview is a learning experience, no matter the outcome. Keep practicing, and you'll continue to improve. Best of luck with all your job interviews, and we're so proud of you for taking the time to learn and grow with us.